Welcome to Poems by Yas. This is episode 12, and today's topic is hunger. Today I'm going to share my poem that I wrote called Hunger, and for my personal story, I'll tell a story about my dad. When I think of hunger, I think about striving to succeed. So I'll tell a story about when he came to Canada and how he started working on the ships. Then I'll share a story about a friend of mine that's also a nurse like myself, who started her own business. She was trying to teach her kids and they weren't listening. So stay tuned for her story, and I'll also share her website with you. And then I'm going to talk about a different type of hunger. The type of hunger where you don't eat and drink. So I'll talk about the Muslim month of Ramadan that finished recently. And Muslims fast once a year for 30 days. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And also ways that we can save money, because inflation has increased and cost of living is expensive, as well as food. So I'll talk a little bit about saving money, and if we know someone that doesn't have enough food, where they can go to get food as well, and how we can help other people. So first, I'm gonna start with my poem, Hunger. To feel hunger and thirst is the only way to survive. The hunger forces a person to go further in life. Seeing the vision and feeling the passion from within, taking the challenge and knowing all the risks. Nobody knows what the future holds. Only you can decide what you do with your life. That was my poem called Hunger. So I talk about striving to succeed in the poem. So I'm going to start with my story of my dad. When he was born, he was originally born in India when all the surrounding countries were not independent yet. So it was called India, and then it later separated to Pakistan. He worked on a farm when he was younger, and he helped his family, and he had a very big family. And when he grew up, he worked very hard. At the time, a lot of people had farms, and they grew their own food, so they had fresh food to eat. And he really liked the ships, so that was his trade. He worked for the Royal Navy dockyard for 10 years, and then he traveled to different countries around the world, and he went to live in Hong Kong. So he worked in Hong Kong on the ship, and he learned to speak Cantonese. My dad can speak 5 different languages, and he can write in 4 different languages. And when he was there, he went on vacation. So in 1971, he came to Canada. He came to the Toronto airport, and he was on vacation, and somebody suggested to him that he have an interview, because they were doing interviews at the airport because they wanted more people to stay in Canada, especially people that were skilled in different trades, and he was skilled with the ship because his job was a ship fitter, and not everybody had that type of trade. So after 2 days, they said that they wanted him to stay here and in Toronto, and they would find him a job in that area. So within a month, he got his work permit and everything organized, and they found him a job 2-hour drive from Toronto in the Collingwood Shipyards. So he ended up settling down in Collingwood. They helped him get an apartment, so he got the apartment, which is good because the job paid him pretty decent wage at the time. So he was able to later, after 2 years, he was able to buy his own home. He got married, and he had 3 daughters. And my mother wasn't really around, and later on she passed away, and we were raised by our father. So he did the cooking, and we had and he would also work and support the family. So we sometimes had babysitters growing up, so it can also be a challenge for hunger because you want to try and succeed and support your family. Because what happened is the shipyards laid people off, so he ended up losing his job. For his situation, he knew how to do many renovations, and he invested in some property, which was okay because he didn't have to look for another job. He became self-employed, and he worked for himself. So he was able to spend more time with his family, but it wasn't easy for him to raise 3 daughters. I'm going to tell you a funny story. When my sister was in kindergarten, my dad dressed her in boy clothes, and she had her hair cut really short. So the teacher asked the students to line up in 2 lines, the girls in 1 line and the boys in 1 line. So she went to stand in the girls' line, and the teacher said to her, "You're in the wrong line." And my sister told her, "No, I'm a girl." And the next day, she told my dad she's going to wear dresses to school every day, and she's growing her hair long. So then she ended up wearing dresses, and she grew her hair long. So there are some challenges growing up, but my dad did a really good job, and he was very resourceful. He took the risk and the challenge, and he became self-employed and was able to support our family. So we are very grateful for that. I'm going to tell you a story about a friend of mine that I met many years ago. Her name is Arij. We're both registered nurses, and we both took a contract in Saudi Arabia with our Canadian license, and that's how I know her. Recently, we reconnected over social media, and she told me how she started her own business because she was trying to teach her kids at home and they weren't listening. So she made videos for them. And when her kids watched the videos, they really started paying attention. And she would tell them, "Pay attention to your teacher," but really it was her teaching her own kids like the Arabic alphabet and different prayers, and they needed the practice. So her videos were really good because she could see the progression of their learning through the videos, and they really paid attention. I like to support women that start their own business and also helping other people. So if you are interested, her website is Virtual Madrasa. So you can check out her website if you're interested in sharing it with other people or someone else that would like to learn. When I think of hunger, I think of the Muslim month of Ramadan. Muslims around the world fast during Ramadan, which means 1 month every year. They don't eat or drink during the Ramadan month from sunrise to sunset. So that requires a lot of discipline. So when they don't eat or drink anything, they can really feel what it's like to be hungry. And it can really humble them because they can see how somebody that doesn't really have food, how they really feel that hunger. And they do more prayers, and it helps them become closer to God. Fasting is one of the pillars of Islam, and Muslims during that month, they donate money to the poor. They give 2.5% of their net salary to the poor, and they also try and feed the hungry. Different ways that we can help somebody in need are educating ourselves. We can educate ourselves, and we can save change that we have at home. Even doing simple things can help people. If we save up change for 6 months or 1 year, we can donate that money to a local charity, a church, or a mosque. Also, if we know somebody that doesn't have enough food, we can refer them to a church. Churches give resources, and they also can help somebody with a meal and food. We can also donate to the food bank because the food bank is being used a lot now because food prices have increased due to inflation. And if we can donate, or if we need to use the food bank ourselves, that's a very good resource. There's another organization called Scott's Mission, and they provide meals during Christmas and Thanksgiving, and sometimes local celebrities help and volunteer during that time and provide meals, and sometimes the line is so long around the block. So there are different ways that we can help people. We can also help ourselves by learning. If we learn to plant or grow vegetables, that's a way to save money. Sometimes they teach children in school how to plant vegetables because they'll have a healthier diet, and they can also save money that way because at least it's not junk food if you're learning to plant. If you have any ideas how we can help the less fortunate, I'd like to hear about it. Write in the comment section how we can help somebody. Don't assume that somebody is not hungry just because they dress nice. Sometimes if people don't have enough money to buy food, or they're really on a tight budget, they don't want to say it because it can be embarrassing sometimes. So try not to judge somebody else, and try to help other people. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Poems by Yas, and next week my topic is water, and I'll talk about how water is very useful for our living and different activities we can do with water. So join me next week and subscribe so you don't miss one of my episodes.